We have different groups of enzymes to help us break down these different nutrients. With regard to proteases are the group of enzymes that allow us to break down and digest proteins. Then we have amylases. Those are the groups of enzymes that allow us to break down and digest carbohydrates and starches. And then lastly, we have lipases. Lipases are the groups of enzymes that allows our body to break down fatty acids. So, with regard to these different enzymes, the concentrations of these different enzymes in different individuals is going to vary drastically. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today I've got another book review for you guys, and today I'm going to be reviewing the book Biochemical Individuality by Roger Williams. In my 18 years as a coach, this is easily one of the best 18 books that I have read, and not only that, but when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis back in 2010, this is one of these 7 books that completely changed my life and allowed me to reclaim my health, and it completely changed the way I approach nutrition with my nutrition clients and patients. With regard to who exactly can benefit from this book, if you are a health enthusiast, a nutrition coach, a dietitian, or a personal trainer, I would definitely pick up a copy of this book. And in terms of who's not going to benefit from it, if you are somebody who is very dogmatic when it comes to nutrition and you are looking for something that is going to confirm your bias in whatever nutrition approach you believe in, then this is definitely not going to be the book for you. Now we're going to get into what exactly you could find inside of this book, but first, real quick, like the video and comment down in the comment section, as it would really help me out and help with the algorithm. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the content. Now, let's get into the inside of the book. With regard to this book, there are a lot of different topics. I'm going to be covering 3 of them. The first is going to be the individual enzymatic patterns. One of the things that discussed in the book is that there are going to be a lot of variance with regard to enzymatic patterns throughout individuals, and also the composition of different vitamins and minerals throughout each individual. One thing is going to be the vitamin concentrations in the blood. When the people were surveyed, when they were researched, what they found was, one example, vitamin A, the concentrations of vitamin A in the blood, it ranged anywhere from 20 to 300 micrograms per 100 milliliters of blood, which means between the lowest concentrations and highest concentrations, there was a 15-fold difference. So that's just one example of the variance that you could find with vitamins. Another thing is going to be with regard to salivary composition. If you look at the salivary amino acid patterns, there's going to be wild fluctuations from individual to individual. One example is going to be with uric acid. With uric acid, there was a difference of 2.5 to 150 micrograms per milliliter, with 100% of the individuals having detectable amounts in their saliva. With regard to aspartic acid, on the other hand, it ranged from 0 to 3.3 micrograms per milliliter, with only 33% having detectable amounts in their saliva. And then another thing is the difference in gastric juice composition. The gastric juices that allow us to break down our foods are primarily going to be HCl and pepsin. And when HCl and pepsin were analyzed in over 5,000 different studies, what they found was 80% fell within the normal range, and they were detectable between 0 and 449 units with regard to pepsin. And then 20% were above normal. Within that 20%, 18 of that 20% showed anywhere from 500 to 999 units. 1% showed between 1,000 and 1,999 units. And then 1% showed over 2,000 units with regard to pepsin. And there was all of these individuals, not one single person showed any sign of gastric disease. And the range, it was anywhere overall from 0 to 4,300 units of pepsin. So there was a quite wide fluctuation between the lowest and the highest, but for this particular research study, everybody was healthy and everybody was within the normal range or higher. Nobody was really deficient. Another thing was with regard to bone composition. If you were to look at the minerals in the bones, so things like calcium, phosphorus, carbonate, all of these are going to wildly vary from individual to individual. So when you are looking at the vitamin concentrations, when you're looking at saliva composition of the different enzymes, and when you're looking at bone mineral concentrations, these are going to be very, very different from individual to individual, which means that the diet should also be tailored, because everybody's going to need individual diet patterns as well, because you can't give everybody the same diet. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Another thing that is going to be discussed in the book is going to be the difference in pharmacological manifestations. One example is with regard to men that were exposed to carbon tetrachloride. I'm going to get into that in just a bit, but with regard to, if you look at pharmacological interventions, if you give a simple substance to any type of organism, there is going to be a high variability with regard to each of those individuals. You could give 2 people the same drug. One person, it could end up giving them great results, and then it could end up killing somebody else. So you want to be very, very careful with regard to pharmacological intervention. And with regard to the study that I mentioned earlier, there were 78 men who were exposed to carbon tetrachloride vapors. And of those 78 men, 15 of those men were poisoned, with 6 of them requiring hospitalization. Of those hospitalized men and of those 15 poisoned men, what we found was all 15 of those men, they were white men within 5 to 8 years of age range within each other, and all 15 of those men were exposed within similar time frames of between 3 to 8 hours, and of the asymptomatic men, all of them were exposed for similar durations or longer durations than the men who were poisoned and needed to be hospitalized. So there's going to be a big difference in how people are going to be able to tolerate different type of pharmacological interventions. Another thing is going to be with regard to alcohol. If you were to give some people alcohol, the rate at which it's going to disappear from the blood is going to wildly differ. And in the study that they were done in this book right over here, 6 individuals were analyzed, and in those 6 individuals, there was a twofold range in which the rate at which the alcohol disappeared from their blood. Now, it was only 6 people, but if you were to extrapolate that and get an even larger amount of a population, then you can imagine that twofold range would grow even more, because if you were to, if there was a twofold range with 6 people, I think you can use enough common sense to say that if you were to get 1 million people drunk, that there would be a much larger difference just between the lowest rate of disappearance from the bloodstream and the longest rate of disappearance. That was with regard to pharmacological interventions. And then one of the final things that I want to touch on in the book, and this is really the part that completely changed my approach to nutrition when I was coaching my nutrition clients, and that is going to be the individuality in nutrition. With regard to nutrition, there are 4 things that our bodies require. That's going to be vitamins, minerals, essential amino acids, and essential fatty acids. And with regard to amino acids and essential fatty acids, we have different groups of enzymes to help us break down these different nutrients. With regard to proteases, proteases are the group of enzymes that allow us to break down and digest proteins. Then we have amylases. Those are the groups of enzymes that allow us to break down and digest carbohydrates and starches. And then lastly, we have lipases. Lipases are the groups of enzymes that allows our body to break down fatty acids. So, with regard to these different enzymes, the concentrations of these different enzymes in different individuals is going to vary drastically. So if you have an individual that has a high amount of proteases and lipases, then something like a high protein and high fat diet would be very beneficial for that type of individual, as that is what their body is going to respond best to. Whereas if you were to have somebody that has very, very insufficient amount of proteases and lipases, then you would not want to put that individual on a high protein and high fat diet, as it would be counterproductive and it could potentially cause them a lot of harm. So with regard to nutrition, there's going to be a lot of individuality with regard to nutrition, and you want to make sure that you are catering the diet to the patient or client that is in front of you. And when you are doing your own diet, you also want to make sure that you are not just going with what everybody else is doing. You want to experiment, see what exactly is working best for you, and whatever works best for you, that's what you want to do. It doesn't matter if everybody's telling you what you are doing is wrong. If it is working for you, then it is working. So keep doing it. But that's pretty much it for this book review. Definitely pick up a copy of Biochemical Individuality by Roger Williams, one of the best books that I've read in my life. And then next week, Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m., I'm going to be taking you through a course review, and it's going to be a nutrition-related course. It is going to be the Nutritional Medicine Profiling course through ICANS or the International College of Applied Nutrition and Strec. In my 18 years as a coach, that's one of the best nutrition courses that I've taken. So be on the lookout for that next Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask your questions down in the comment section so I can help you guys out. But that's pretty much it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button so I know to keep making these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, as I'm going to be uploading new videos every single day. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow.